How many homes do investors own? And are large investors on Wall Street really coming in and buying up all of the inventory, making it difficult for home buyers out there? That's what we're talking about today.
I keep it real, I keep it real, I keep it real, just keep it real.
Hey, what's up guys? It's Sam Hartman, keeping it real estate here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And if you're in the home buying market, you maybe have heard this myth or seen headlines that institutional investors are just coming into real estate communities, buying up all the properties, making it really difficult and challenging for home buyers out there to find the right home. Now, I'm not gonna say that there's not challenges for buyers out there in the market, and I'm not saying that this might not play into that, but is there real truth to this claim? Is there fact behind the numbers and the data to this claim? And so that's what we're gonna look at today and see how these investors might affect home buyers in today's real estate market. So first and foremost, let's look at the numbers of how many homes there are. And in the United States, there's estimated to be 82 million single family homes in the real estate market. Now that's not for sale. That is just homes that have been constructed and could potentially be available for sale. Now of that 82 million, 83% of those are owner occupied homes, which means the person that bought the home also lives in that home. And so that leaves about 14 million homes in the United States that are rentals. And those 14 million homes are not a bad thing. They play a big part in the housing market. A lot of potential buyers or tenants out there might not have the credit score to buy a home. They might not have the funds needed for down payment, closing costs, and things like that to be able to buy a home. Some people are more transient in their lives and their jobs, and so they don't have the time to commit to buying a home. So rentals, believe it or not, what a lot of realtors will make you not believe is that rentals should never exist. People should never rent a home. No, rentals serve their purpose and they're an important part to the housing market. So that 14 million, whether it's the right number, there's probably room to argue that that's not enough rental properties for what consumers demand, but it's a necessary part to the real estate process. And so let's now look at that 14 million and what makes up the piece of that pie. Who owns these properties? Who's buying these properties? And let's make a little bit of sense of that. So a lot of the headlines are talking about institutional investors, and these are huge, large investors that own over 1,000 properties across their portfolio of homes. Then we have smaller national investors that own anywhere from 100 homes to 1,000 homes. Then there's the small regional investors that own between 10 homes and 100 homes. And then there's what we call the mom and pops investors. These are the small time investors, probably don't extend past their city limits or much further, and they only own between 1 and 9 homes. Now, here's the really cool thing about these mom and pops investors. If you own 9 homes in your community, guess what? You're probably a multi-millionaire. You probably have 9 assets that add up to well over $1 million, maybe even pushing over $2 million in value. And that's the power of investment. That's kind of the cool thing. So whether you're a home buyer or a potential investor watching this video, that is huge, huge wealth building opportunity, even in what is considered the lowest, smallest demographic of these investors. And so how does it all break down? Well, these large investors that own what we think is the most homes, they own over 1,000 homes to be considered the large institutional investors. They own 3% of that rental market. Smaller national investors also come in at just about 3% of ownership of that 14 million rental market. The regional investors between 10 and 99 homes, they own about 14%. And then the mom and pops, the 1 to 9 rental units, these people make up 80% of the total inventory of rental homes. So it's not institutional investors. It's actually the mom and pops investors that are going out and buying homes in the community. Now, here's another thing is a lot of current homeowners are turning into those mom and pops investors. Maybe when they go to buy their next house, they're not selling the house that they have. They're then turning that into a rental property and using that to continue snowballing their wealth and their investment in real estate. Is it the right thing to do? It just totally depends on what your path of home ownership is, what your goals and kind of utilizing the equity in that home for the next home, and if you're able to do it. I think home ownership is a phenomenal way to build wealth. It is a forced savings account. It builds wealth through the money you pay on the mortgage, but it also builds wealth over time with appreciation. So there's some phenomenal wealth building avenues with home ownership, with rental properties. Is it right for you? Is it right for everyone? It's not right for everyone, but the question's gotta be asked. Is it right for me? Is it a possibility? That's where I come in and I help advise on whether that could be the right option for you, whether you need to sell the home to be able to buy the next home, what options might be available to you to make that happen and keep that home as a rental property. So these are all just questions I ask and work with my clients that are potentially selling a property to help get them where they want to be, to help accomplish their goals, and to help them figure out, is it right for me? So to summarize, our institutional Wall Street investors buying up all the homes, making it challenging for buyers out there? No, they're not. In the grand scheme, they only own 3% of the rental market. It's the mom and pops, it's the neighbor down the street that might own a couple of houses in your community, that are buying houses in your community, that are maybe managing their own properties because they live in the same community where those properties are owned. So that is still a challenge for buyers, that these mom and pops are competing against them for properties that they want. But here's the thing, if you're an owner occupant, if you're gonna buy a home and live in it, you're always gonna be more competitive than an investor that's gonna come in and try to get a deal on a property. Don't let that discourage you. Let it encourage you. Let the opportunity of the horizon and the time of owning real estate encourage you about buying real estate. Because guess what? That starter home that you buy for $150,000, $200,000, $250,000, that could be a lifelong investment in your future, in building wealth, in the first step towards making you a millionaire in owning real estate. So if you have questions, reach out to me. I love these conversations. I love fact finding. I love asking the right questions of you to figure out what your goals and needs are. So don't hesitate to give me a shout and let me help keep it real estate with you.